All right, we talk about this a lot when it comes to the legislature, and this is a phrase we seem to use often. Despite overwhelming opposition, this bill passed whatever committee, which leads us to a lot of questions from the likes of you. Do our elected leaders even listen to those who elected them? Well, we'll see how that applies to the school choice tax credit bill. That's happening possibly this week. We could see the governor sign it. But today, Joe Paris found out some of those elected leaders and lawmakers do listen, at least when it comes to a school funding bill and one small Idaho school district.
Public school funding in Idaho seems to always be a marquee conversation at the State House. And there's a pitch from at least two angles to go from conversation to action.
Idaho has one of the only remaining funding formulas in the country that's called the resource allocation model, where the state bosses the local school districts around about how they're supposed to use their money.
Representative Wendy Horman is the sponsor of House Bill 279, a proposal to send discretionary funds to schools on a per-student amount. And discretionary money is for things that the state doesn't pay for.
Right now, 70% of the money you receive under the existing formula is from who you taught and who you hired last year. We want to change that up and send you money based on what you're teaching this year.
Representative Horman also wants to move towards sending that money based on weighted categories, things like special needs students, rural or small schools, and other factors. And that step would come next year, which is a major difference between Horman's idea in the House and a pitch in the Idaho Senate looking to accomplish a similar concept. But with both new ideas comes new questions.
We feel like we're getting lost in the mix a little bit.
Jeff Gee is superintendent of the Ryrie School District, located near the growing areas of Rigby, Madison, and Idaho Falls.
I didn't speak up last year when the facilities funding bill came through, and I kicked myself for that because that facilities bill really hurt us.
He wants to avoid a repeat with the pitches on the table to move discretionary funds to a weighted format, one that gives benefits to small and rural schools. His problem?
We're not big enough, but we're not small enough. And so we get lost there in the center.
The discretionary funding pitch in the Senate designates 600 students or less as a small school. Ryrie has 644. Representative Horman heard Gee's concerns and adjusted her pitch.
He had great and valid points, and my bill accounts for those, and it sends $14.2 million to small and rural districts in the interim until we can get to a fully weighted formula.
She isn't the only one listening. Superintendent of Public Instruction Debbie Critchfield authored the Senate proposal to do per-pupil funding and weighted formulas at the same time. Superintendent Gee spoke with her just today.
They were willing to look at a couple of the concerns that I brought up and rerun some numbers and see if there's a way that they can make it so that maybe there aren't quite so many winners and losers with this weighted student funding formula.
School funding conversations are complicated. That's why Gee appreciates places like Ryrie being heard.
The idea, I think, is a good one. It's just how do we figure out a way to do it in a way that all schools benefit from it?
So yeah, there are competing ideas at the State House, and back on Friday, or Thursday of last week rather, we did a compare and contrast. I did want to add, I just got a statement, a message from the superintendent's office, basically saying that there's been input from a lot of different players, including the superintendent from Ryrie, and that they really value the feedback, and they look forward to continuing the conversations over the next few days and really throughout the rest of the legislative session. Brian, it's a difficult thing to thread the needle on, especially this concept of the money following the students. With so many different size schools in Idaho, you have the one schoolhouse that's got 7 to 8 kids. Of course, in the West Ada School District, you have hundreds of kids at one high school. One size fits all doesn't work, so it's hard to figure out how it all fits together.
Yeah, these are the kind of bills you wish were introduced earlier so they could have time to hash them out as we get further into the session, not trying to rush it through toward the end here. Although we're not there yet.
Could be May, who knows?
Could be May. All right, thanks, Joe.